No one.
What's up, Gator Nation? Welcome into the latest Gators Online Podcast, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And we are recording a day early this week due to Hurricane Ian making landfall in Florida. Hope everybody out there is safe who is listening to this pod and in the path of the storm. Nick and I have made our preparations.
No, so they're doing that today.
You look like you were standing in line this week.
I've been in line. Haven't found water yet. We've substituted bourbon for water. So don't want to say where I'm going to go next because you just gave me a secret.
I did. I just gave you a plug.
Not putting it out there yet because I don't need people getting there. I guess we're recording.
How much water are you going to
buy? Probably buy. The other thing is, like, this is a big scary hurricane, but we're like inland. We're very far inland.
Third highest elevated city in Florida.
Like, people in Gainesville are acting like we are a small island in the Caribbean. The way that like stuff gets bought up.
Our boy Corey Bender is the one that needs.
Yeah. Corey's still kind of inland, like in Land Lakes. But like my fiance was, she's getting her master's. She was in Torre, which is an island by St. Petersburg. Immediate evacuation. Like you're getting out of there. They're 13 inches above sea level. Get out of there. But Gainesville, the wind could be bad because it's getting up to almost a Category 5 now. But we shouldn't be affected. That's why there's a game Sunday because we're not in Tampa.
Because the next day things should be able to be okay in Gainesville in terms of the road, in terms of people making it. And if you haven't heard, yes, the Eastern Washington game has been moved a day, still on as scheduled. Going to be kicking off at noon. So we will get to that matchup, a lot of the happenings of this week. But first, Nick and I have a game to recap from this past weekend. And my man Nick fell to 1-3 on the season.
Nah, it's not good. Let's see. I picked.
You were so close to getting the win right, though, man.
I was. So I'm trying to think of which ones have I lost when I picked Florida. I picked Florida. Oh, so I'm 2-2. I've picked Florida to beat. The only time I've picked against Florida was Utah.
You picked Utah to win.
The only time I picked against Florida was Utah.
That's right. So you're 2-2.
No, I picked them to beat Kentucky.
You did pick them to beat Kentucky.
And they lost to Kentucky. But I've only picked against the Gators once. So negative Nick. Picked Florida 3 times this year.
Not too much negative to say about the way that they played Saturday. Some negative aspects.
Depends on what side of the ball. Some
negative aspects from the game. But we got a lot to unpack from that performance in Knoxville. The Gators go down 38-33. Came down to the wire. It looked like the Gators were kind of done in the fourth quarter after the fumble from Anthony Richardson. But he leads the Gators back on 2 touchdown drives. DeJuan Black with the onside recovery shows up.
Looked like the logo.
Man, it did.
Man.
A fantastic shot of that onside kick recovery from the Journey episode from Tennessee. If you guys haven't seen that yet, just an incredible shot, incredible play by DeJuan. And me personally, Nick, like I didn't really feel like Florida had a chance to win the game until that moment. And then at that point, hey, Anthony Richardson makes some more completions or has a miraculous throw to the end zone, which he's capable of, then the Gators might have a shot, but didn't work out that way. The Gators,
well, you could just feel it too. I mean, we were both down the field at that time, and the level of confidence and the crowd noise. The first touchdown goes, and there's still 2-possession game after that first touchdown. Florida doesn't get the 2-point conversion.
Yep.
The fans are still going nuts. Get a stop, score again. And a guy in the front row in the north end zone goes, "This is torture." It was like you could just feel Tennessee being like, "I've seen this movie before. I know how this ends. Some ridiculous play happens and Florida wins." It didn't happen, but you could feel the anxiety take over the stadium.
There was a guy. I was standing in the end zone, and there was a guy in the first row, almost like singing this song. He had made it up. He's just singing this song that's like, "We're about to beat Florida." I don't know what he was saying, but he is just on cloud 9. And this old guy, I don't know what he was affiliated with Tennessee, but he was on the field. Older gentleman turns around at this guy who's right behind him and goes, "You haven't seen enough of these games end." and turns back around and keeps watching.
I mean,
they've got PTSD with some Florida finishes in this rivalry.
I mean, a freshman at Tennessee, assuming they're 18 years old, has seen 2 Tennessee wins. Freshman at Tennessee has seen, including last Saturday,
also seen 2 Hail Mary losses.
Yeah, has seen as many Hail Mary losses as he has seen,
and had
Tennessee
a chance
wins.
to see a third one.
So that old man told him, yeah, no, he was right.
You haven't seen enough of these games.
You haven't seen enough of these games end. If that's what you're singing right now.
And you got a great video of the fans in the stands, Nick. Couldn't make out what they were saying.
I'm not sure what they were saying. There were some chomping, and I think they were saying "drive home safely."
Classy.
Yeah.
Classy. What'd you think of Knoxville and Neyland?
Well, I've been to Knoxville a bunch. I think that's probably the best crowd I've seen at Neyland
For Florida, Tennessee.
I've seen the checkerboard like 3 times now.
Yeah.
I think 2014 was my first trip there, and that was the first time they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was joking with Zach. I was like, they tweeted it out, sent emails all week, not this year, but in 2014, to like make sure, hey, if you're in this seat, in this section, please wear orange. If you're in this seat, this section, please wear white. I think they do it once a year now, so they've kind of got it figured out.
Yeah.
But I remember that 2014 year being like, hey, man, we get it. We get it. But they send it out every single day, just making sure. Because it could look real bad if you don't get it just right. You
or
get
like one section screws up.
Little speckles of white and orange, little speckles of orange and the white. Or if one section screws up and you got a big block of something.
Yeah. I will say I thought Florida handled the crowd well.
Yeah.
Kingsley had a couple issues there. There was that one play where everybody moved but him.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they had a new system with him dealing with the noise. Everyone remembers the issues at Kentucky last season. That was his first time starting on the road in the SEC. I think he had some hearing issues. So I think they did better in terms of the system that they put in place to get the snap off. But in terms of AR operating the offense and dealing with the crowd, I put out my theory last week, Nick, and I think you liked it, which was him getting out of the Gainesville bubble and away from the pressures of Florida Field and being the quarterback for the Florida football team. I think was going to do him some good. And like you mentioned, he might even like being the villain.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he reveled in that role.
It's interesting because he had, and I don't think the way he played against USF is his floor. I think that's an aberration. Like that's a one-off game. I didn't think he had this kind of passing game in him, which was literally led him to being the most total yards when you add in his rushing, but his rushing wasn't 60 something,
67, 62
in the 60s. So third most all-purpose yards for any player in Florida history, and the most against an SEC opponent. You wrote about it,
which counts to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sanford and Cincinnati.
Listen, credit to Dan Mullen for not having a good enough game plan that you couldn't take your starting quarterback out against Sanford. Well, Emory owns a record now.
Can we side note on Dan real quick?
No, he gets so much time on our message board. Go ahead.
I mean, I think I deserve some props for the photo that I quote tweeted Dan with. Did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
The Anthony Richardson screenshot. That was from when the Gators had their touchdown reviewed on Saturday in the Tennessee game, and Anthony was clearly in the end zone, laying in the end zone.
And
finally they said that he scored, and the camera showed Anthony.
Oh,
and that's
yeah,
the face that he made.
We were watching that in the hotel.
And of course, Dan Mullen, his former coach, comes out this week with his top quarterback performers of week 4, lists 6 quarterbacks. None of them were Anthony Richardson.
Did they all win, or are those all winners, or is there a losing quarterback in there?
As someone pointed out,
Mississippi State lost last week, didn't they?
They did lose.
So you guess you could put losers on there
that too. But someone responded to my tweet that was basically like, hey, maybe he only put guys from winning teams on his list. Yeah. I said, well, good thing the voters, didn't do that when Tebow won the Heisman.
84 that year.
Otherwise, Dan Mullen would never have a Heisman Trophy winner that he coached. But it's just like, it seems like every week he finds something that can get Florida fans riled up on Twitter and then just sends it out. I mean, he's not even trying to hide the hate anymore. It's just he's just straight trolling Gator Nation.
Yeah, well, he gets too much airtime.
Well, I thought
nothing. What's the movie? If Mama said if you don't have anything nice to say nothing at all. So I'm just bring up Dan.
I find it amusing. But obviously Anthony had not only one of the best performances last week, but as Nick said, one of the best performances all time. I mean, he etched his name in the record books, the 9th most passing yards in a game from a Florida quarterback in school history. I mean, that's rare air, literally. And it's crazy too that a guy who had 112 passing yards the week before quadruples that. Had never had a 200-yard game, had never had a 300-yard game, and then all of a sudden he goes for 453. It's like that discrepancy to me is wild.
Tennessee's going to struggle with Kentucky and Will Levis because I think they're not to take anything away from Anthony, but I think
they're not a good passing defense. They ranked 100th nationally going into the game.
Not a good secondary, not a good passing defense, and I think. I was really surprised that Ricky Pearsall, when we talked to him after the game, just said we knew we could throw on these guys.
Yeah.
Like that was the game plan coming in. We sat here all week saying run the
damn ball,
run the ball, let Anthony get outside. Now they did do some of that stuff. We did see more of Anthony running off tackle,
got a touchdown,
some design runs, but certainly they found something on tape and they took advantage of it.
I asked around because I wanted to know, how does a guy who throws for 100 yards the first 3 games, how does he all of a sudden go for 453, right? He threw for more yards Saturday than in his first 3 games combined on the season. I asked Billy about it on Monday. Like, what did you guys do? What clicked for him? What light bulb went on? And he likened it to drafting a first-round quarterback, and he comes in as a rookie and is kind of feeling his way through the offense, and then all of a sudden has a game where everything just clicks. And he kind of described Anthony's performance as that. Now, I do feel like, just from talking to people around the program, that Billy and Ryan O'Hara, I think, coached Anthony maybe a little bit differently this week. And I think they game planned for him a little bit differently, and they clearly had confidence in him being able to throw the ball against his Tennessee defense. And I think that did wonders for Ant, just having his coach dial up those plays and say, hey man, 4th and 2 from our own 27, we're dialing up a deep shot. And then they go out and complete it. I just think that was a huge confidence booster for Ant.
Yeah, I think that's such a wild play call. Such a wild play call. Like, I get your 1-on-1, but it's 4th and 2 from your own 27. You're trailing in the game.
You wouldn't even do that on Madden, Nick.
No. I would punt, obviously. I would punt.
And our most read story from the game and from Knoxville was what Nick knew everybody wanted to know about. Nick comes up to me in the press box after the game and goes, I'm right about the 2 points. Got to do this. And you knew, like,
the math is over my head. Like I went when I was trying to pick a major, I was like, hey, what has the least amount of math? And they were like, journalism. I'm like, cool, I can do that. So I don't get why, but like much smarter people than me have made charts. And that's what Billy and the analysts and Osh Piers on the sideline. I walk by and he's got this binder that's this thick, and he's going through it, and this is a situation that we're in. Here's one that we could be in. And he walks up and he's talking to Billy as analysts can do. And I don't get why, but the chart says if you're down 11 in the 4th, you go for 2 to make it 9. And then Billy explained that to us more so. But yeah, it took me a while to write that story just because I'm not smart enough to understand the math. I had to call somebody and have them kind of like walk me through it.
You did it though.
But I did it.
And then, like you tweeted, you wrote it on Saturday night, and then Billy basically came out Monday and confirmed what you wrote. So get used to it, Florida fans. The 4th down aggressiveness,
it's hard.
The 2-point gambles.
It's hard to see the disrespect in the playing time for Jeremy Crawshaw. It's tough. It's a tough scene, Jeremy. I feel bad for you. My thoughts are with you.
He shined in his one.
I know. He should have had more opportunities. If you get that game changer on the field, maybe the game changes. Maybe the final score changes. Just saying. Maybe a little fake punt.
Speaking of which, before we jump to this first break, were you okay? Like, did you sit down and need a moment after you saw the butt punt this weekend?
I didn't see it.
You haven't seen the butt punt?
I didn't. We were in the air.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen it pop up on Twitter throughout the week?
I've seen it, but yeah, we were in the air and then in the car. We pulled the game up, but it was after the butt punt.
Yeah. But if you guys don't know what I'm referencing, the Miami Dolphins, Nick is a Miami fan, of course.
Tried to give the game away at the end there.
Man. And their punter backed up in his own end zone, went to go let it fly, and punted it right into his protector's butt.
That is the first blocked punt in Morstead's 14-year career. Spent most of his time in New Orleans. Never had a blocked punt. And now it's a blocker on his own team that blocked it with his butt.
I saw that replay, and I was like, man, if Nick would have seen that live.
I would have been furious.
And you're a Dolphins fan, too. So it's from the punters to your team. Fun times. Well, we had a good trip in Knoxville. The result, obviously not what Florida fans wanted, but we'll kind of delve into this game a little bit more after this break. We definitely got to address what happened on the defensive side, talk more about Billy's play calling, and then the final segment, we'll switch gears and get you ready for this game Sunday at noon against Eastern Washington. We'll be right back after this break.
Coming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back into the Gators Online Podcast, live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Going to delve more into this performance on Saturday from Florida, some of our takeaways, both from the offensive and defensive side. Nick has said his piece on special teams. Although, you do, I think, before we get on offense and defense, you wrote a story about the kicking game, or kick return game, rather, and or should we say the lack thereof?
Yeah, I mean, too long didn't read. Just they're trying to give you 25 yards. They're trying to make the game safer, to not have high-speed collisions. They made a rule where you can just fair catch. Don't even need anything. Don't just catch the ball and go to the 25. Easy. Florida has had 13 returns this year. One of those 13 have made it to the 25. They've had 13 returns, 5 penalties, which means now you're getting backed up. Even if you got to the 25, now you have a personal foul. They are so bad on kickoff returns.
Have they ever made it past the 25?
One time. Got to the 30. The 30.
Okay.
Got an extra 5 yards.
But you've also lost how many 5 yards with the penalties that you've gotten?
Yeah. I sent it to myself here. There we go. So total for the season, 27 kickoffs, 13 returned, one that went past 25 to the 30, 5 penalties. The average starting position on returned kickoffs is the 14.9, 15-yard line. So you're giving away 10 yards every time you return a kick. There's just no need, unless you get like Andre DeBose some eligibility, Brandon James some eligibility, or if you get guys to stop holding or doing personal fouls on kickoffs. Until you figure that out, just throw a hand up. Throw a hand up.
I mean, either you're going to get some production out of it, or you're not going to do it.
It's not like, oh, they're not getting production. You're actively hurting your offense because your kickoff return is so bad.
You're either helping yourself or hurting yourself.
And there's such an easy solution. It's not like, well, we just don't have the guys in this position. It's like, hey, we want to run the ball, but we don't have running backs. Okay, well, that's not this. Like, there is a very easy solution.
You mentioned running backs. I'm still of the curiosity of what Lingard could do back there. Let that guy run out his frustrations on kickoff return.
That's true.
Let him use his speed, which is supposed to be his strongest attribute. He's literally doing nothing.
He's on kickoff. He's just blocking.
I mean, I like you said, be good to see them find something there. And if not, don't hurt yourselves. I think obviously going into the game Saturday, kind of putting a bow on the offense, one of my biggest things that I wanted to see was their play count and their ability to control the clock. And it's kind of crazy how this worked out. Against USF, they ran 47 plays. It's the fewest offensive plays that they had ran in a game since 2018 against Colorado State. Flash forward to Saturday, they run 87 plays. That's the most offensive plays that they've run in a game, also since 2018 against Vanderbilt. Crazy that you have those discrepancies not only in the 18 season, but now this year. And that was going to be so key for Florida. Yeah, they could not go into Saturday's game and have less than 50 snaps.
With an offense like Tennessee's, you need to go in, and I'm sure their game plan was, use our offense as defense.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, sustain drives, don't rush to the line, keep their offense off the field, and try to do what USF did last week to Tennessee, which that you were successful in doing.
Yeah. And, you know, what's crazy is that Florida was able to do it. They were able to run 87 plays. They were able to win the time of possession battle almost by 10 minutes. And yet they did this despite not being able to run the ball very well.
Shout out to you for the and yet on Eastern Washington week. So
Let's go.
Jim McElwain, the Eastern Washington quarterback,
shout out to Jimmy
coach
Mack.
there. This game is cursed, by the way.
It is.
The game is completely cursed. McElwain scheduled the game in 16 or 15. They scheduled it for 2020. Obviously, 2020. You go to an SEC schedule, and then didn't think we were going to be playing the game on Monday. Honestly, didn't think Monday that the game was going to get played, but it's getting played.
It is,
and eventually, and fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
You know, we'll see. Obviously, the rain should be gone by Sunday. But like you mentioned, Nick, last week everybody was run the damn ball, run the damn ball, run the damn ball. They had 79 yards from their 3 combined backs on Saturday. Lowest output of the season from that group. Every single guy averaged less than 4 yards per carry, and yet they were still able to control the time of possession, and a lot of that had to do with Anthony Richardson. Their run pass balance was pretty good. I think they were 44 pass attempts, and I think they had 40 rushes. So it was pretty even. But the reason Florida was able to control the clock, to run 87 plays, it wasn't because they were just continuously gashing them on the ground and getting chunks of yards. It was because they sustained drives with the 4th down aggressiveness from Billy Napier. To have 6 attempts, convert 5 of them. That's only happened twice for the Gators since at least 1996. They've only had 5 4th down conversions in the game. Both of those times have came against Tennessee. The other time was 2015. So you don't typically see that many 4th down conversions, but it's the reason why the Gators were able to be in position at the end of the game to win it. And I think it's a credit to Billy. Look, there's been, I think personally, too much overreaction and too much analysis into, I think the game planning, the play calling, like they are figuring it out. They are a first-year staff with a first-year starting quarterback who clearly is learning on the go. Billy showed you on Saturday he can call some ball plays. He told me in the offseason, for everyone that was freaking out about him that he was going to just run nonstop, he told me in the offseason during that series I did, hey, if there's a game where we got to go out there and throw it for 350, we will. And they did. They definitely have that within them and within this scheme. And even the plays that didn't work, the 4th down that they didn't convert on the opening drive, and then the fumble that Richardson had in the red zone in the 4th quarter.
Man, we paused that watching in the hotel.
But both of those were great play calls by Billy. And Anthony,
not executed well.
Anthony didn't execute them well. So I thought Billy called a masterful game. He showed some huge cojones with some of those fourth down
We really
calls.
didn't get that the passing. We didn't get that east-west passing game that's been driving us nuts.
Yeah.
And from the previous two games. And that answered a question that some people were asking: has Billy lost confidence in Anthony as a passer? Clearly not.
No, clearly not. And I think that now that he's actually seen him go out and do it in a game, they're only going to build on that.
Mhm. Well, it's not one of these type of games, but you would hope that he has a good week this week.
And just the fact that if Florida gets in another situation, likely against Georgia, where they can't run the ball and they're having trouble, to know that you're not going to just be one dimensional. And they have some capabilities there with Anthony. Keon Zipper showed up, made huge play. You mentioned some of the receivers that stood out. Justin Shorter probably had the game of his life on Saturday. So a lot to like about where the offense is heading and trending right now. Defense, some issues. First off, shout out to Ventrell Miller. My man left it all out on the field in Knoxville. Clearly was not 100%, but
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him like take a week off.
Oh, he's definitely not playing Saturday. At least I
no
don't. No
one's playing Saturday.
Yeah, no one's playing Saturday. I'll be surprised to see him out there. But even not at 100%, his whatever percentage was still plenty good. He made a difference in that game right off of Tennessee's opening drive with punching out the ball in the red zone to force a turnover. He recovered the fumble on Bernie's sack fumble. So he had an incredible game. He made the touchdown-saving tackle on Hooker's long scramble, gets hurt on that play, has to leave the game, comes running back out of the tunnel right before the fourth quarter starts. He definitely was a difference maker on Saturday, and you see why the Gators need him out there.
We started doing the PFF grades. He is consistently the top graded player on Florida's defense. Once again this week. There's just a difference. And like I don't think he's an All-American. I don't think he's a guy who's going to have a 15-year NFL career. But there is a noted difference the way Florida's defense operates, performs, executes, and plays when 51's on the field. It's not like you can't take him out of the equation. And we said in the before the season started, you need 15, you need 51.
Yeah, you got to have it. Although this is going to be a great opportunity Saturday for those young guys, if they do rest Ventrell, to basically see with Scooby and Shamar James. He made some great plays in that game on Saturday. He had the sack on Hendon Hooker,
first career sack,
and then he had the tackle on third down or fourth down rather. That allowed the Gators to get the ball back, go down and score, and then get the onside kick that put them in chance to try and win at the end. So Shamar James is obviously, we've seen a lot of him, and but really I think everybody was talking after Saturday about the secondary and just the lapses there, the coverage breakdowns, two obvious plays, but not just all on one guy, but there is one that is continuing to make the mistakes. And Florida took him out of the game. Trey Dean, after the first busted coverage that he had, he still played I think the fourth most snaps on defense.
He's played 94% of Florida's defensive snaps this season, but has played less snaps in each consecutive game, if that makes sense.
And his backup, at least on the depth chart, just going off of that, is Donovan McMillan. He's played one defensive snap this season.
Yeah, the backup is Kamari.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you're going to see a change there, I think Nick just alluded to it. Probably having Kamari and Rashad Torrance on the field at the same time would be the most likely. I think that there is also a chance that they could maybe move Trevez Johnson to safety to give him a look there, but they gotta try some personnel changes in the secondary, or just give some guys some other opportunities. And I think you're going to see that. And again, it's not just Trey Dean. I think Avery Helm did not have a great game. I think that you'll see some other guys in the rotation potentially there at cornerback. we didn't. Jalen Kimber only played 11 snaps in that game after having a huge play against USF and kind of showing up. So wasn't sure kind of why he was not as involved in that game, but still not there, Nick. And that's still something that they're working through, that they got to improve. I mean, now to be fair, they've faced a pretty talented quarterback every single week that they've played, including the USF quarterback. So they'll get a break this week.
I think Hooker's the best one that they faced, though.
Oh yeah,
just the way that he played. I would put him ahead of Levis.
I would
for
too,
sure.
And Cameron Rising.
Cam Rising I thought that what Cam Rising looked like in the fourth quarter is what he would look like the whole game. First half against Florida, I think he's, whether it's early season or the crowd noise, he was a little jittery. I'm was really impressed with Hendon Hooker. There were a couple times, and Billy said it on Monday, had him dead to rights. Brenton Cox had him sack on the 3rd and 10.
Yeah, right there
in the first half. The guy just gets away. He's not just a mobile quarterback. He can throw the football too.
Talking really trash back to the Florida players.
Really impressed with him. And I think he hurt his right shoulder during the game. Getting sacked. I can't remember who the sack was. But getting sacked.
Rashad Torrance put it on him a couple times, and then he got up talking trash to Rashad after he took the hit.
Well, that was also after a first down. So,
yeah, but sometimes you got to tip your cap to the other guy. But on those busted coverages, that was Florida beating Florida.
Yeah,
as Billy said, you can't have that, especially from a fifth-year senior. I will say though, I will give them credit because seemingly, he got removed from the game for that blunder
for a drive.
They
came back in blue. No,
so we'll see how that progresses moving forward. I asked Billy about the safeties.
You think they'll make a change? I honestly don't.
I don't. I think what you'll see is that you'll see more of a rotation. I think that you'll see Kamari Wilson continuously get more PT. Okay. I think that maybe you'll see Trevez Johnson start to get more reps back there at safety. I'd like to see Miguel Mitchell get some opportunities.
We already played 4 games. So this week, Sunday will be telling because that's when guys will play in their 5th game. Which means no red shirt. Miguel Mitchell has 0 snaps on defense, but has played in all 4 games on special teams.
So we'll see. I mean, this is going to be an opportunity for those guys against Eastern Washington. We're going to jump to this final break. We'll come back on the other side and give you some things that we want to see from the Gators on Sunday in the Swamp against an FCS opponent. Billy got a lot of respect for them as a former FCS player, but we'll see if they can throw it around the yard again on Sunday. We'll be right back after this break.
Football is back. There isn't a better way to enjoy watching your favorite team than by playing daily fantasy sports with our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the simplest form of real money daily fantasy sports and pits you against the numbers. Whether you're a fantasy sports nut or a casual fan looking to add some excitement to the games, Prize Picks is the perfect game for you. It's the best way to have action on the game in states like Alabama, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, and over 70% of the United States. Prize Picks is currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. You simply select 2 to 5 players and predict if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. Download the Prize Picks app or visit prizepicks.com and sign in using the code GATORS to get an instant 100% bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. So if you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100 back. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. That's free money. Don't forget that Prize Picks app or prizepicks.com and the code GATORS to claim your bonus today and take your viewing of your team to the next level this season.
Welcome back into the Gators Online Podcast. Zach and Nick here live from Spurs Gridiron Grill. And it is time for us to now preview Sunday's game against Eastern Washington. Definitely want to give a shout out to Sullivan Bortner, who has put together some pregame notes for us because, Nick, we don't know a lot about Eastern Washington.
The quarterback's first name is Gunner.
I like that.
Great name for a quarterback.
Gunner Talkington.
They have red carpet, and Jim McElwain played quarterback there.
Yeah.
Extent to my knowledge. Not spending a ton of time researching Eastern Washington this week.
Nope. They play on that is a fun fact though, that they play on red turf. Unlike Boise with their blue turf. So Gunner is their quarterback. Mekhi Smith is their leading rusher. Freddie Robertson, their leading receiver, and Eli Doyle, their leading tackler. They have not done well on defense this year. The Eagles ranked toward the bottom of the FCS in total defense, allowing 539 yards per game. The Gators are 21-1 against FCS opponents dating back to 1981, with the lone loss coming in 2013 in a game that Nick correctly predicted.
Well, I have to explain that. I got to a point at my other podcast. That was my first season, and we started.
It's a rough start.
We started a podcast at my first job, and I think I picked Florida to win a couple games in a row, and they lost, and I just flew off the handle on a podcast. I said, I'm not picking Florida to win another game until they win one. And
strong stance.
And they didn't win any before the Georgia Southern game. And
you stuck to your guns.
Felt backed into a corner, but I'm a man of my word. I wasn't going to pick them. I think I'm the only person in America that picked Georgia Southern to beat Florida. It's not because I thought they were going to win. It's because I gone a little crazy a couple weeks earlier. But still picked it right. Should have put some money on that.
You did. Although you will not be picking Eastern Washington
will
this Saturday.
Maybe I will.
Stop it. Stop it.
To be determined.
The storm's getting to you, Nick. This will be the first ever meeting between Florida and Eastern Washington, courtesy of Jim McElwain.
Jimmy Mack. Not doing well up there in Central Michigan.
No, he's not. And like you said, this game has already been canceled once, rescheduled once, and once again, we're moving some parts around to get this game to happen on Sunday. And the Gators have really dominated the only times that they've played Big Sky opponents. They beat Iowa in 2018 and Montana State all the way back in 1988 by a score of 69-0.
What day was that?
Of the Montana State game?
Yeah. Doesn't say?
Does not say. It had to be an early season opponent.
Could have been end of the year.
Were they doing that back in 88?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out if I was alive.
I wasn't born.
That was the year I was born. So I was trying to see what month it was in. But I'm November 25th birthday, so that's way into the year. Maybe last game.
Well, obviously Florida goes into this game. The Eastern Washington Eagles are severely overmatched. Florida's obviously trying to get back in the win column, coming back home after their first road test. And honestly, Billy won't say this, definitely doesn't want to field questions about it, but this is their first opportunity this season. I mean, I guess USF was one, but this is their first opportunity to get up in a game, hold the lead, and win comfortably. I mean, Florida has not led by double digits once in a game this season. Every single game that they've been in has been single-digit ball games where they've been trailing. They've been down by double digits.
Well, the Billy Napier's stellar one-possession game record took a hit last Saturday. While Florida did have a backdoor cover.
They did. Somebody lost some money on that.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. Good on you, Billy. Made the boosters happy if they took Florida getting the points.
Yeah, they did. I think Florida will cover again this Saturday.
I haven't even seen a line.
Probably
so
not
a lot of these games, they just don't even give you a line. They're like, hey, we're not. You can bet a money line if you want, but I'd imagine Florida would be like minus 1,000.
But I just think more than anything, in terms of Anthony having another confidence boosting performance, obviously the defense making some strides, potentially some young guys, the youth movement maybe potentially getting started. More than anything, Florida just needs to go out and have a dominant performance against an FCS team that they should beat the brakes off of. Point blank, period.
I mean, you just have been so stressful
Every week?
Saturday. Every Saturday is just
One score game.
I haven't written anything. I haven't written a single word like when the game is done. We haven't gotten a game where I knew what the storylines were until the clock hit 0. Please, Billy. I would like to be done writing by like 5 p.m. on Sunday night. Let me start writing at halftime.
What time do the Dolphins play Sunday?
I don't know. Dolphins play Thursday this week
against
Joe Burrow.
That's right.
In the Bengals. 4-0 this week. Dolphins probably going 17-0. You heard it here first.
But yeah, I mean, that's more than anything. Have this game in control early on. Get an opportunity to play several of your second and third team players on offense and defense who have not gotten an opportunity yet this year because every single game has been so close. So this is huge for them. This is what you schedule these games for, Nick.
Pay a lot of money. Pay a lot of money to get the freshmen in.
Yeah, you can get a break from your conference slate. You can get an easy win, and you can get an opportunity to get some guys some experience and some development. So that's what this Saturday is about.
$750,000. Get me some DeJuan Black reps.
Yeah.
Get me some Kamari reps. Can I get Donovan McMillan in a game, please?
That, because I had a lot of fans asking about the safety situation. I asked Billy about it on Monday, but yeah, it's hard to anticipate that the backup is going to get the call when he's only played one defensive snap all season. So he showed up in the spring game, obviously got the pick. I thought he played in the one defensive snap that he did play against Utah. He played it well.
Yeah.
But this is obviously key for the Gators, not only to get the young guys experience, but get your starters out early. Get
take a break.
Yeah, they need a break. They need and also get them out healthy. But
yeah, this is. I can't stop making the joke, but not one of these types of games. But this is not a game where you want Anthony Richardson to twist
playing
an
in
ankle.
the third quarter,
late in the third quarter, twist an ankle. Like even Justin Shorter, your offensive lineman. Like you have an opportunity to get Jake Slaughter and Riley Simmons and maybe Yusef Murgabil.
Yusef.
I'll come back now. Yusef. I'll come back next week with that one.
But your starting offensive line and starting defensive line should be able to.
I mean, Cyrus Torrance has played more than 90% of the snaps. Like, get Big Dog a break. give my guy a break. Give him the fourth quarter. Be like, hey, man, take your shoulder pads off. Sit down. Enjoy a Gatorade.
Have you caught the celebration yet?
No.
He does it every time. I love it.
Oh, he walks right up to him.
No. He does the flex.
Oh, he
does the flex every single time. See, those are the post-play celebrations that we appreciate, not some from others.
Also appreciate an offensive lineman. I see Big Des Watson's done it, where he wears his jersey up like under his pecs and let the belly go. One of the first ones I saw do it was John Jalapio, #TheGut. Love a big guy that just rolls their jersey up into a crop top and lets the belly hang.
Gotta appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously, what do you want to see Saturday, Nick, or Sunday, Nick, other than a quick game?
I'd like give me under 3 hours. I'd like to see I want to see more of the younger guys. I want to see first off, I want to see a fair catch. I want to see a fair catch on kickoff. I don't care who's back there. You could put Michael Johnson from the 90s winning Olympic gold back there, and I want him to fair catch it. I want to see.
What they should also see is no Jeremy Crawshaw. Sorry, Nick.
I mean, come on.
But just being real.
It's ridiculous. Please punt.
This is a week where he should not be seen.
Just punt once.
Maybe second half.
Punt in the second half.
Maybe when Jalen Kitna gets in.
Beautiful. I want to see Jalen Kitna. You fans have been calling for him. I want to see him get into this game against some lesser competition. And the way Florida practices, he's going to get a bunch of reps in practice. That's how you want to get Jalen Kitna ready. Anthony Richardson has played every single offensive snap.
Yeah.
You want to get Jalen Kitna ready in practice. This is a chance to get him in and get some live bullets, some game reps. I would like to see that. Would like the fans to see what he looks like. And really just get out of this game healthy. That's the biggest thing. You've got Missouri, LSU, Georgia, South Carolina. You got a lot of games left that you're going to need your starters. You're already dinged up with Ventrell and with Michael Tarquin. So just get out of this game healthy.
You think we'll see Jack potentially?
I don't think so.
We'll find out, I guess,
We'll
Wednesday
find out
night.
tonight.
I think for me, obviously, Anthony Richardson, I think it's just important for him to go out and have another good game, a clean game, as well as he played Saturday. Still had turnovers.
I don't count the pick.
Yeah, the second one, you're just trying to make a play on the last snap of the game.
And if he wasn't getting tackled, like
he would have went to the end zone.
If the line didn't,
Zipper was kind of there in the middle. But yeah, the fumble can't happen, especially in that situation. Both quarterbacks for Tennessee and Florida fumbled in the red zone and lost it on Saturday, but Richardson's came literally at the worst time.
Yep.
So having him being able to have a clean game and then also just a productive game, just to show that, what he did last week against SEC competition on the road, that he can come back against an FCS opponent and do it no problem. And then on the defensive side, two things specifically for me. I don't expect to see Ventrell Miller. So how do those young guys look? Because the last time we saw them without Ventrell Miller, it was not a great showing against USF. So
I think it's almost this season, I thought coming in 7-5, 8-4, I think it is almost a blessing in disguise. And I hate to see Ventrell not playing and I hate to see him injured again. I think it's almost a blessing in disguise because Shamar is getting so many valuable reps. And I don't know where Scooby was. Didn't really play last week against Tennessee, but
he'll play Saturday.
Shamar is getting a ton of reps and a ton of experience, and he's made 3 starts according to Florida's website. I would need to go back and look at the first plays. But that's going to be your starter for the next 2 years.
Yeah, he's your guy
at middle linebacker. Like that's your guy. So to get him these reps and this experience now, even at the expense of Ventrell Miller, I think is great for Florida's future.
Yeah, and obviously, could we see some other inside linebackers? DeJuan Black, I think he's yet to play much on defense this year, so this could be an opportunity for him. And then, honestly, I think more important than how things look at inside linebacker is what's up with the secondary in this game. Do we see some lineup changes? Do we see some different rotations? Do we see more rotation? I would not be surprised to see a new starting cornerback.
You're about to cause headlines there.
I think that we could see some changes based on what I've heard. So we'll see what that looks like. To your point about the safety, I don't know if they'll make a change to the starters, but I do think that there could be a change to the rotation. And at the very least, if Florida does what it's supposed to do from a scoring standpoint, you get to take Torrance and Dean out of the game. Let your young guys play. Let Wilson and let Donovan McMillan get a ton of PT. I think this is very critical for them. They haven't got those opportunities. So that's something I'm going to be monitoring. Yeah.
Derek Wingo. There's a bunch of guys that I think just need.
Well, it's been close games. They haven't been able to get on the field.
It's one of these types of games.
Yeah, I mean, if it's down to the wire, the staff is putting in the guys that they're. If
this game comes down to the wire, Billy might pull home on Sunday night, and there might be a for sale sign in front of his house. This game cannot be close.
I think for the mental health of all of us sports writers,
yes, please.
we need an easy game to write about. I think Florida fans, you guys want an easy game to root for.
I'm almost ready for the game to be canceled and to get a bye week just to take a breath.
See,
it's been a stressful.
It almost
4 weeks.
feels, if I have power, Saturday's going to feel like a bye week to me. I'm just going to watch football all day. I know I got to work Sunday. I feel like we're working Sunday most of the weekends anyway, so I'm going to enjoy my Saturday off. And I just hope that everybody out there is able to do it too. That you have power. That you stay safe. Stay out of harm's way. If you need to evacuate, please do so. And we will all be monitoring the storm as we get closer to the weekend. And hope everybody is okay and can make it to Sunday to see the Gators return to the Swamp. 5th game of the season, Nick. It's crazy how this thing is just rolling through, man.
Man, after third game, I was like, oh shoot, that's a quarter of the season already.
I gotta do my quarterly report.
My goodness. Yeah, it flies by. And then it seems like the off season takes forever. And then the season just flies by.
Yep. Well, we're enjoying it. We'll be back in the swamp this weekend. I got my On 3 gear finally come through the mail, so I'll be repping. And we'll see how the Gators fare against the Eastern Washington Eagles in the Jim McElwain game.
They're, for all intents and purposes, this week, they're the Eastern Washington Fighting Jim McElwains. For all intents and purposes.
Should be fun. And no wedding for you.
No, unfortunately, my flight got canceled. I was going to be covering this game Saturday it was a noon kick, so it would have been Saturday at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, the flight got canceled, so sorry, Jaime and Kristen.
Congratulations.
They're Hurricanes fans. They're definitely not listening to the podcast.
Oh, not well.
But sorry, I'm going to miss it. I was looking forward to it, and was looking forward to seeing Aspen in October. Sounds lovely. Paid a bunch of money for a hotel. Not getting a refund. So
Ooh.
tough scenes. Tough scenes.
That's why you get the refund, folks. Or that's why you get the you pay for the coverage. But I tell you what, though,
Hold the out.
as upset as you are, Nick, and as upset as Florida fans were on Saturday after losing to Tennessee, you guys weren't more upset than your friends up there in Colorado and all the Miami fans across the country with that Middle Tennessee State loss.
They got
Could be worse.
They got whooped. Yeah, it could always be worse. Maybe not for Cuban Ron Zook, but it could always be worse for other people.
Oh, man. All right, well, we are going to wrap this show up for the week. We'll be back next Thursday on our regularly scheduled time to recap the Eastern Washington game and get you guys ready for homecoming against Missouri in the Swamp. Another noon game. Not mad about that.
Love a nooner.
Love it.
Love a nooner.
Absolutely. So we will see you guys next Thursday live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. For Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Abolverdi.